Hi, I'm Aysha Scott and I'm the writer, producer and director of the feature film Absent. Absent, a feature film that I've been developing now for the past 3 years, and it's a film that delves deep into the destruction of the broken home. So Absent is a film that I wrote based on my real life experience of being a single mother who's when my ex-partner had abandoned his responsibilities to our child. So it was a 4-year period that I went through of having an absent father to my son, and the film pretty much goes through the trials and tribulations of a single mother and how she has to piece back together the broken home, but it also explores the detrimental effects of absent parenting, and it doesn't just target the single mother, it also explores the absent father himself and the repetition and the cycle of absent parenting and child abandonment. So it's a very deep subject matter that I felt needed to be addressed, and the reasons I felt it needed to be addressed because the trauma and the impact that I had felt and been experiencing and going through at the time of being abandoned with my child was just shocking. I was shocked at the lack of support. I was shocked at the stigma that had surrounded the whole perception of a single mum, and just how we're treated in society for one, and also the lack of understanding of family breakdown and the breakdown of the family unit. I felt was something that I couldn't really get much information on, and the information that I did kind of come across, it was usually from a male standpoint. So for me it was really important to have a female voice on it, because I feel it hasn't been done yet, and I feel that our voices are drowned out amongst the sort of powers of a man's position once he leaves the family unit.
First of all, you've got to say congratulations for having the strength and the courage.
Thank you.
To expressing your thoughts and your feelings about an absent father, and the detrimental effects it has in the household. When you were going through the struggles that you were going through, did you document it?
No, I didn't document it initially. So I was just going through it. I had a small child. My child was 10 weeks old at the time, so I was just adapting to being a single mother, because I already have I already had a daughter. Mm-hmm. But when me and her father separated, he was just a hands-on dad. He was a normal father. He played his role, so I didn't really have that. I didn't really feel like a single mum at the time, because it never occurred to me that I was a single mum, because he was always there in parents' evening, through health, for her well-being. I could pick up the phone if there was any issues, so that support was there, and she had a great relationship with her dad. So it was only till my son's father became completely absent and was just running away from his responsibility, was that I actually started to feel the impacts myself of the impacts of being a single mum. Just financially it was a strain, mentally it was a strain, emotionally it was a strain, having a small child and just raising that child alone, not being able to pick up the phone with the person that created the child with you. It was exhausting, and it did have an impact on my mental state. I was very angry, I was very bitter at the time. But it was only till it was kind of when we was in the thick of it, I would say, because we was having domestics, because I did take it quite bad, of just his rejection towards our child. I wasn't, because we had the breakdown, 10 weeks old, we had a massive row, and that was sort of the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. So the relationship had ended, but it was just the way he reacted to it. It's almost like, it was like, oh, the relationship's ended and I'm gone, kind of thing. He left the country, went to the Philippines for months, and just told me he was going on a 2-week holiday. So it was such so much to digest, just going through that period. And I'm generally a strong woman, so to be left in that situation, I did feel very, very vulnerable, very weak. And it was probably when I started university. So I went on to study a creative writing degree, and it was during my second year that I started to write the film. So to speak, I would say that's when I started to document what was going on, and how I could make a difference and have a voice, especially for single mothers who were going through that hardship and that struggle that is a bit taboo. And I think a lot of mums, they want to, because we don't, as mothers as well, we don't want it to be a situation where we feel, oh, we're not doing a great job. 90% of the time you're doing an amazing job, but there's still that whole masking of, I'm not coping, or it's difficult, or it's a struggle, it's hard. So I just wanted to be that voice to show the truth of what single mothers do go through, because as well, I think it was really important to take away the stigmas. And the stigmas for me, it was that you was sort of to blame. You went out with the wrong guy, or why didn't you pick a better partner, and oh, you knew he was a deadbeat and stuff like that. And it's not the case. You could be with a very amazing man that just one day decides he doesn't want to be a father, or he just feels it's okay to just relinquish his responsibilities and gets on with his life.
Okay.
So yeah, in terms of documenting it, it was when I was going through uni. So that was the journey. That's where it all began.
Okay. Let's take it. Let's go back a step. Let's go back to the point of when you met your partner.
Okay.
Then, and the sort of character your partner was when you met him, and you were first dating and stuff.
So when I first met my partner, it was 2007. Okay. So we was quite young. We had very similar personalities. His birthday's 2 days apart from mine, so we're both Aries. So we had, it was a bit of, we did have clashes and stuff, but we had a great relationship, and I think that was the big shock. We was together for 5 years. He was very hands-on with my daughter. He already had another daughter from another relationship. Very good dad. He does things with his kids. He's very much involved with what his children do. He likes to give them experiences. He's spontaneous. So he's a great guy. I think where it kind of went a bit ill-shaped for us, he began starting a new job. So he started a new job as a stockbroker. And even to this day, even though he's never sat down and told me his reasons for sort of leaving the relationship and how he behaved in terms of our son, I do believe he got caught up in that lifestyle. He was in the he was new to the stockbroking industry, and what came with it, it fitted his personality, so to speak. So the champagne breakfasts, the partying. But then when I got pregnant, which was a planned pregnancy, I think he was so deep into his lifestyle and the partying, and then he would always come home and say things like, oh, because when they had big sales, they might just travel to Spain for the weekend and have an ease up on holiday. And I think he felt like he was missing out on certain things. So he'd be like, oh, they're going to buy, or they're going to be doing this and stuff like that. So I do believe, and then he had a lot of incidents in his life where we lost like really close people to him. So not making excuses for him, but I think you do have to look at the deeper reasons than, oh, somebody just abandoned their child.
Mm-hmm. How do you perceive yourself in the relationship? I know you talk about the absent father, you talk about the relationship from your perspective and what the man should do, his responsibilities. But what are your responsibilities, do you think, as a partner and friend, and then as a mother?
I think as a partner and friend, I think it's always important to support the person that you're with, to have an understanding, to be open and share obviously your dreams and aspirations with each other, and be that network and support for each other first and foremost. As parents, I think it's important, even for myself, I think it's important to be responsible. So once a child comes into the equation of a relationship, the dynamics change. You're not just in a relationship anymore. You can't do certain things that you would do just when you was in a relationship. So your responsibilities change, and I think your boundaries change as well, I think, for a person, because you're not just used to anymore. You're raising a child, so you've got to have wants for that child. That child's going to have needs. It's going to have there's going to be it's almost like somebody comes into what you had. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think those are the sort of things for me in terms of thing. I think, yeah.
When you decided to go about doing the movie Absent, what was the response you got from family and friends? And yeah,
I think generally it was supportive. It was a supportive response. About 3 years ago, it was just an idea, really. It was a script. I'd go on about it, but then a lot of family members and friends are going through the situation, and they're still going through the situation, and it's almost like I've become an advocate as well, because they've seen that my situation is sort of rectified, and me and my ex have come to a resolution. He's no longer an absent parent. So I think they look at me in a way of getting answers sometimes. So there's a lot of support. But then going more along the way and coming to 3 years, and where it's blowing up a lot more, and the subject matter is a lot more relevant, there was little things that in my family, little questions asked, because I told a story online about, because what I haven't gone into yet is that I actually had an absent father as well. So my dad was absent, and I told a story online about going to school, and there was a man that used to resemble my father, and me and my sister used to call out to him, and my mum was like, oh, wasn't you a bit embarrassed about telling that story? And I said, no, why would I be embarrassed? But then it comes back to the unspoken and the taboo of the subject matter, and I was like, Mum, you was an amazing mum, you was an amazing woman, but it doesn't take away the fact that I had an impact of my dad not being around. It's nothing to do with you, it's just how it is. He wasn't there, and I was affected by it. But it was almost like it was hard for her to digest and take it in, because she's thinking, okay, I did my best with you guys, but an absent father doesn't have anything to do with your parenting as the single mother. So,
an absent father, an independent single woman, an independent single woman who's a parent.
Yep.
Some women believe that a man is not necessary in a child's life. Why do they come to that conclusion?
I have no idea, because with me, I'm independent, I financially can look after myself, and in terms of not needing a man, so to speak, it's like, I think it's just this whole superhero single woman kind of furore that's going on in the media and the way they perceive it. But even being independent, you do need a man. Like, I've never had that perception myself. I've always felt that you do need the father around. You do need that support from a spouse. And yeah, you can do it on your own as a single mother the best you can.
But why?
But why what?
Why do you need to have a father around? Why do you need to have a man around? Why? Women would say, why? I'm doing a good job without the man around.
Yeah, but the child needs balance. They need to know both parents. They need that a child's going to have the DNA of you, the DNA of their father, and they need to understand and replicate that. They need to see who they are. They can't see who they are from their father's perspective through your eyes. It's just not possible. I cannot teach my son to be a man. And I knew that from a very early age. I was at a whim to think, oh my God, what if his dad doesn't return? I was petrified. I was fearful at the fact that he wouldn't have had because obviously you can have role models, but if he didn't have his own father to look at and say, oh, this is the similarities, the personality, you get that from both parents. So
okay, but so why do so many women find it acceptable and appropriate to not have fathers in their lives?
Because I think that they're not educated enough about the impact of what happens when the father is not around. So you've got a 7-year-old child and your child's doing fine, because it's not always the case that they're going to have the impact when they're young. Their kids are adaptable, they go to school, they get on with their life. It's when they become into their teens and they start getting identity crisis, they start wanting to know who their father is, why isn't their father there? And things have changed as well. I think definitely in these times where we have the social media, the impact's going to be even worse, because children now can look up and watch the other parent not be in their life. They can see the other parent getting on, and I think it's just it's a bit of ignorance to feel that your child doesn't need the other parent.
What about when mothers and then the extended family decide to shun the father from being able to see the child?
Yeah, I don't agree with none of that, because that's obviously parental and family alienation from the child. And like I said before, I think it's just lack of understanding of the impacts, because it's such an unspoken topic. And I think sometimes someone who's experienced not having a father, and they don't even understand their own effects or impact, but it could be that they date the wrong guys, or they have issues with bonding and rejection, and they don't connect that, because it's not spoken about. They don't connect that with the fact that their father wasn't around. So I think people that think it's okay to push out the father and not have them involved in the children's life, it's ignorance. And I think that the impact's going to come at a later stage, and it's going to hit them like a ton of bricks. And yeah, I don't think it's right at all. I don't think it's right. I think for me, for my stance, I was more like, where the hell are you going? Get your ass back here. You're not leaving me to raise this child that we created together alone. Because it was only to when my son's father became absent that I actually started to go through the effects of my father's absence. I started to think, oh my God, this is like the cycle. This happened to my mother 30 odd years ago, and it's still happening today. And it was so deep and so painful, and I had so much anger, and it wasn't just to my son's father. A lot of it was more to my dad, because I didn't actually see him at all. He went to America when my mum was pregnant with me, and I didn't meet him till I was 11. So he was just completely gone. I had one picture of him, and you just used to hear stories about his lifestyle and what he got up to when he was away. But that was it.
You talk about the negative impacts.
Yeah.
Explain to me what these negative impacts are.
Well, for me, I think a lot, like with the later stage of starting to understand a lot of the impacts of my father, I'd say, not being around, was rejection. It was identity. It was understanding certain traits that I had that were not from my mum, that were from my father. Also, growing up, I was a rebel. dated all the the wrong type of guys. I was a street girl, and I put that down to just not having that male figure in the home and having that input. So I was a rebel. I was running down the streets, dated all the wrong men that were pretty much mirages of who my father was. So the sort of bad guys. And yeah, there's just loads of effects to school. Just didn't take school seriously. And it wasn't because I wasn't educated or anything. It was just, you're just running wild. My mum, she had 7 of us that she had to raise on her own. And yeah, we just kind of pushed the boundaries. And you are looking for that love. You are potentially looking for that love from a man.
You see, when I first heard about Absent, I'll be honest. When I heard, I thought, oh no, it's probably one of these bitter, twisted women that are going to do. Listen, enough guys are probably there thinking, oh no, it's one of those women. We've got a bitter, twisted woman there. The black woman who's, you know,
scorned.
Scorned, and you
wants
know,
to mash up the man.
Wants to mash up the man, and I said, oh, here we go. So, do you remember the Diaries of a Mad Black Woman? Do you remember that movie?
Yeah,
right.
That's one of my favourites.
Yeah. So when I heard I was first introduced to Absent, I thought, oh no, Diaries of a Mad Black Woman. I thought, oh, this could be one of them ones. So, of course, because as a man, you get on the defensive. Absent. Oh. Absent father. Oh, yeah. Well,
what about the bitter mums? That's all you get. Conflict all the time. But Absent is not your kitchen sink drama. It's not like a film that's just piling into the absent father. It's more psychological. It goes into the many different reasons of how and why a man can become absent, and sometimes it is the mother that is to blame and withholding the child to have contact with the father. And then it also explores how it affects a male to a female and how it affects different cultures. So it's a psychological film. It goes into the psychological aspects of the cycle of the broken home, and there's no blame there. It shows because obviously the film's based on me, so I'm truthful, I'm real, I'm a person, I'm real, I'm honest, so it shows me acting a bit crazy, going through the sort of baby mother drama aspects of it.
So you were a bit crazy then?
Yeah, not really, I wouldn't say crazy, but I'd say the reaction to the rejection wasn't... it wasn't the nicest. I was very angry. I was very, very angry. And when there were times when he would try to get back the connection with our son, but it was so raw. It was like you'd been missing for 6 months to a year, and then you'd show up at my house or drop a card on Christmas, and it used to just infuriate me, like, because...
Is that not trying to find a way back in, though? Is that trying to, like, things cool off and try and find a way back in? You know, maybe just give you time to cool off. Maybe, you know, time will heal, and I'll try and come back and try and fix things and see if you've changed, see if you've matured, see if I've matured.
Yeah, no, definitely. But this is why I think we need more support, and this is where we've gone into the change.org, because it is difficult to... try and get back that connection, that bond, and become co-parents to the child when so much has gone on. The emotions are so raw, there's so much that's been said, because it does get very bitter and nasty. It's an acrimonious relationship that a child's in the middle of. So it does take a lot of time, and thankfully for us, we did the mediation, but we never actually ever got to the stage of where we sat in the room together. It's like he would do his part, I would do my part, and then we'll come to some resolution. And it took a lot of time to get common grounds together and get that respect back for each other. But I think once we focused on our son, and it was all about our son, it became natural. And it wasn't straight away. For the first year, when he came back into our son's life, because the story's so long, but I can't go into it. But to cut a long story short, the last year, so he's missing for pretty much 4 years or being inconsistent, some parts of it. But the last yeah, he went to prison. So for me, it was like the karma sort of his behaviour and what you're looking for, what you're running into. Like my nan always says, what you're out there looking for, you will get. So it was one of those situations, but it was needed, and I think it was the restoration point for us to connect and let go a lot of the anger and a lot of the pain of the situation, because like I said before, he was a good dad. He had all the attributes of a good father, so it wasn't if I just lay down with this guy, but I think because there was nothing that could stop him or say that he couldn't do what he was doing and just be sort of running from his responsibility. It was...
But what, okay, you talk about his responsibility. What was your responsibilities? Apart from to raise a child with the father, what else was your responsibilities?
My responsibilities is to keep the home together, is to make sure I've got financial stability for the child. It's making sure I can feed and clothe the child. It's making sure I can give them a good start in life. I can make sure that you can ground that child. It's your responsibility to be somebody for your child. So there's no point in just being a single mum. Like, what is your position? That I wanted to obviously be a role model for my children, so I had to think of my career path. So that was my responsibility, to making sure that I could do the best that I could out of the mess.
Right.
So be blessed in the mess.
Okay.
So that was my sort of stance on it, and that's where Absent was birthed. That's where my new career into filmmaking was birthed. And yeah, a pathway for my children was for birthed as well, because they're in the entertainment industry as well. My son, he does modelling and acting. My daughter, she sings. So it was important to also facilitate and have the responsibility to mould them and support their careers and their dreams and things like that. So big responsibility.
That you ever heard the expression, people don't buy products, people buy people?
Yeah.
Now you've just sold me about this movie.
Oh, wow.
I actually want to see it now. You've made me a believer. I had my doubts. I had my doubts.
Yeah.
Be honest, I had my doubts, but I'm a believer.
Oh, brilliant.
I want to see this now.
Brilliant.
As a black man, I want to see this.
No, it's brilliant, because I think what people need to understand as well is like what you were saying before about people might just have this perception like she's just this bitter black woman telling a story. They have to realise that for the past nearly almost 4 years now, me and my ex-partner are raising our child in a very stable co-parenting relationship, and this is I wouldn't class myself as that sort of single mum with an absent father anymore. So I'm doing this to give a voice to the people that are going through this situation, to have the message in the film where people can look at themselves and identify their role to play in the situation. So everyone has to look at it. You've got to look at it from the generational aspect. So the children that are growing up who didn't have the father and repeating the cycle. You've got to look at it as yourself as a woman and how you're responding to the rejection of him not being there. So there's so many different angles that the film will obviously have the messages for. Don't want to give away too much, but it's a healing film. It's a film for healing, restoration. It's a positive. Anything I do is always got to have a positive message in there. So it's something that you definitely should watch. And yeah.
So tell us how we're going to get to see this movie.
The film, we're currently in pre-production of the film, so we're looking to shoot it this summer, and the release date will be next year. The end of the year. We'll do obviously our pre-release, and then for the sort of major release in 2019 in January.
Okay, so if people want to know more about the movie and they want to know more about you, can they contact you anyway? Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you know that stuff.
Yeah, well, we've got our social media handles for Absent is Absent Movie UK, or you could just type in Google Absent Film and you'll have loads coming up, because as I said, it's a 3-year development, so you'll have a lot to read through. I've also got blogs that I've written that goes a bit more deeper than actually the film so to speak, of the situation that I went through with my ex-partner. So it's all truthful, it's all real. I released them about 2 years ago, but they're online. So if you type in Aysha Scott, the single mum's journey, then you should get good resources from my blogs. And to find me on social media, yeah, just type me in Google Aysha Scott and you can
spell your name.
My name is AYSHASCOTT.
See, I wouldn't have spelt your name Aysha that way at all. So there
yeah, Aysha.
Yeah,
that's
see?
See? Everybody calls me and it's so annoying. But yeah, so if you just type me in Google, then you get all my social media handles, Facebook, and just my catalogue of work to find out a bit more about me, because I feel that we've got our Indiegogo campaign run at the moment, and we did a video, and I think it wasn't, people felt like they didn't get enough, and they didn't get enough understanding of who I was and why I was telling the story. So yeah, if you just go online, do a bit of research about the type of films that I've made, the type of messages that I like to tackle and address, and it will give you a bit more foundation to why I'm making a film and what my message is.
Aysha Scott, thank you so much for talking to BWTM News and Entertainment.
Thank you for having me.